Kane, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the Championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be. Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, good evening and welcome back to the JUSTJOE football show. I hope you are all doing well and now getting up and ready for the playoffs. I don't think I'm quite there yet, although I've started to preview and do the little bit of research that I do ahead of the Norwich game at the weekend. I'm aware some of you might be watching the baby reindeer video with Piers Morgan as well. I scheduled this at the wrong time. If you haven't watched that, then I suggest you go and do, because it's a bit mad. But yeah, that's live at 8 o'clock right now, isn't it? So we're competing with Piers Morgan, because I think every man and the dog and woman and their cat have watched that. So yeah. But before we do bring Ben in, I do just want to share something. I'm assuming a lot of you would have seen this. Tragically, over the weekend, Hisco, a big Leeds United fan, unfortunately, I think it was an opening of a pub. We don't need to know the particulars, really, to be fair. But unfortunately, Hisco lost his life over the weekend. He is known as a bit of a hero in his local community. He raised £16,000 for the NHS during lockdown, doing singing online. Was a bit of a singer. So basically, on the next home game at Ellen Road, Monday. Sorry, not Monday the 6th of May. It'll be... When will it be? It'll be Thursday, won't it, we play? I think it's Thursday, yeah. On the 11th minute, there's going to be a round of applause for him as well. I was contacted by one of his friends as well, asked to do this, and then obviously it's everywhere now. So, yeah. Father, son, husband, grandson, brother, uncle, friend. Rest in peace, Robert John Charles Hisco, okay? So if you're going to the game, which I know a lot of you will be doing, then make sure you do, clap for Hisco on the 11th minute. There was the other day as well, again, sorry to start this on a downer, the Leeds fan that had gone missing after the game against Southampton, was last seen in a pub in Leeds as well. Unfortunately, was found today. It does look like he's taken his life, so I hate to start on a morbid note, but this was a guy that's gone to a football game with his friends, gone to the pub after the game with his friends in a group with no sign whatsoever that he was struggling, and then just left, and unfortunately has taken his life. And I feel it's important that we do mention these things and try not sort of like hide away is probably the wrong word, but I think especially for men, and I'm not taking away from women, but we just don't do enough talking, do we? And I think it's important to reiterate that fact that if you are struggling, you do need to reach out, whoever that may be. I've even had people reach out to me when not at that end, but what I'm saying, the DMs are always open from my end. I know you'll be able to speak to family, friends and stuff, and I know it's difficult to do as a man. It shouldn't be, but it is. So yeah, that's really, really sad as well. So I don't know how I'm gonna try and get this up, but I think it's important that we do discuss that thing. And anyway, okay, so yeah, thoughts with Hisco and the other Leeds fan that did lose his life. Right, okay, let's bring in Ben now. Benjamin, how are you, my friend? All good?
Yeah, I'm good. Just like to echo your words, everything you've just said. And I know people make jokes, but it is important. And as much as our clubs are meaningful to us, people's lives are more important. So just want to echo everything you just said.
Yeah. No, I thank you for that as well, Ben. Right, talking about football clubs and where we're at right now, we were just talking off air slightly. I'm still in the downer mode after losing out on the automatic promotion. We lost it out against QPR, to be fair. But Ben, how are you feeling? You're back in the Premier League. I've noticed you on James Allcott. I love watching that show. I was like, oh, Ben's Premier League now. That's it. He's there with the big wigs. You must be ecstatic. And from a Leeds fan, mate, congratulations. I can't lie. I was annoyed when Jackson started singing Leeds are falling apart again, because I was like, mate, you've barely played. I don't even know who you are. Like, pipe down. Like, I don't know why you're pushing this narrative. We were friends with Ipswich. But yeah, outside of that, congratulations, Ben, man.
No, much appreciated. Just the season of our dreams. And it's hard when you're a football fan, because immediately people start telling you you're going to break Derby's record and concede 1,000 goals in the Premier League. And I'm not listening. I got my fingers in my ears for the next 6 weeks or whatever it is, 8 weeks, until the football kicks off again. You can't touch me. I'm bulletproof. I'm happy. And
Good.
yeah, just the season of our dreams. But I realise if we labour that point on here, I'm going to be very unpopular, and we've got other things to talk about, right?
we certainly do. Just a little look ahead, though. I think the Ipswich will have a Bielsa type impact, a Sheffield United under Wilder type impact, to Wolves. Maybe not Wolves, because they had amazing players, but you know what I mean in terms of the success they had in their first season. I think we will get that from Ipswich, and I think they'll put a lot of noses out of joint. And fair play, because Kieran McKenna's a great manager. You just got to get your transfers right. I think that's the main thing when you get promoted, isn't it? Anyway, right, yeah, we're talking about the playoffs. I brought you on, Ben, because obviously you are the EFL Championship GOAT, as likes gets to banded about. You've forgotten more than most. You've forgotten more than I remember. That's the way I say it, isn't it? That's the one. But yeah, I brought you on to chat about the playoffs. I can't lie to you. Spoiler alert, I'm not confident at all for Leeds United's chances, just because historically we don't do well. Just off the top, mate, what do you make to the 4 teams that are in there, and who's your sort of pick before we deep dive into each one?
So not massive surprises, because we would have expected at least one of the relegated 3 Premier League teams to be in, and we've got 2 of them. Obviously, Ipswich managed to split the 3. If anything, they're surprises that there weren't 2 of the relegated teams in the top 2. So that makes it hard for everyone else, because as much as and I'm not trying to just build confidence because I'm on a Leeds channel, but look at the points gap between the top 4 and everybody else. It's very clear that Leeds and Southampton were much better during the regular season than West Brom and Norwich. And the other 2 are a little bit of a surprise. Before the season, Norwich wouldn't be a surprise because they're a Year 2 parachute team, really good players. But in November, nobody would have had Norwich getting in the playoffs. They were stinking the joint out, but they've got really good players and they were underperforming. West Brom, I think, is down to the manager, because they could have been in all kinds of trouble, Joe, if they hadn't had the takeover, I think, and Corberon had said, no, had enough. I think they could be, you could flip a mirror and they could be in the opposite place, 5 from bottom rather than 5 from top. So, yeah, it's a bit different than last year. We had Coventry and Luton in last year. Sunderland just promoted from League One. Middlesbrough, I guess, would be seen as a sort of, relatively big player in the Championship. So I think more difficult this year, higher standard of teams.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think the Norwich thing, like you say, I think there was murmurings of them wanting Wagner out and stuff, and
more than murmurings of it, mate.
Yeah,
they completely turned on him, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. You're right, and obviously he. The players have pulled it out of the bag for him. They've been really impressive towards the back, and I think Josh Sargent, had he have not been injured as much, maybe they'd have secured it a lot sooner than on the final day, perhaps. But they're a good side. I think what's quite interesting, Ben, is the form coming in. Like normally, and I don't know if this is just a Championship cliche, you might be able to correct me, but normally you have a team that, comes out from the pack late on and they've hit all the form and they're hitting. But really, when you look at it, Leeds United have been in shocking form. I think Norwich haven't won in 3. Southampton the same. I know Southampton beat us on the final day, but the game itself was just an absolute dead rubber. It was not great, although they were better than us. But and then West Brom as well. West Brom looked for me for an age like they were going to get 5th and then almost could have messed it up right at the end. So are you surprised to see the 4 teams in there performing so poor towards the back end of the season?
I guess so, although when you actually make the reasoning, particularly for Leeds and Southampton, because let's be honest, Ipswich and Leicester both dropped off as well.
Yeah,
and
true.
you know who's come out looking best out of this is bloody Reading with the 106 points, because it's proved how hard it is to just not have a bad run at any point in the season. So if Ipswich had been in the playoffs or Leicester had been in the playoffs, they would have had loads of red blobs in the form table as well. That's just the ridiculous standard. And maybe just some players got a bit knackered in the 46 game run, particularly from the Leeds point of view. And Southampton as well had 3 game weeks right the way through after we got back from international break. I think you're right. I think there's a few myths about the playoffs, isn't there? I think you're right that it's a cliche, the team coming from it. It's extremely rare. You can find a couple of examples. I think Crystal Palace kind of did it once and, came from nowhere. But this is a hard league. And if you're not in and around those playoffs for the majority of the season, you ain't just going to swoop up and dive in them unless you get something like what we got last season with Sunderland, where they really were just never in them. And then on the last day, swooped up and in. But go figure, that team rarely wins. I think the other horrible cliche, which I get the piss taken for saying it all the time, but if you want to make my head explode, tell me the playoffs are a lottery, because they're absolutely, absolutely not. Maybe in the 90s, when teams were a bit more naive and a bit more green, we got lots of weird results. But you look at the stats since 2000, particularly since 2010, and this will be good news for Leeds fans as well. Third place does well because they're better than everybody else in the playoffs.
I did see Sky Sports do something similar, like say it's a 70% chance or something.
Reaching the final, not winning. Yeah, reaching the final.
Was that reaching the final? My apologies, but I do look at that, and as a Leeds fan, I know we should have confidence and should take confidence from the fact that the team in third relatively does well, but historically, we're the trend bookers. But do you think every fan says that? Ben?
No, it's one of those weird. Sometimes if things are said enough that are complete bollocks around football, people start to believe them. And the definition of a lottery is a random outcome and everybody has equal chance. So, I don't even think it's an opinion. It's just objectively look at the word. It's literally not a lottery. They're brutal. They can be hard work. And the weird thing is you talk about third place having 70% chance of getting to the final. The weird thing is when sixth place actually get to the final, they actually tend to do quite well if they can get to the one-off game at Wembley.
There you go. Richard asked a decent question. Is this very much a reset and start again, or is that just not true? And I guess the question I would like to pull from that is obviously, how do you think, like, I know you're not a player, Ben, but from a player's perspective, this is where I worry about us finishing third and having such a fall off. I think they go, we've missed out on automatics, and a Norwich coming into it going, we weren't expected to be here until late on, so we're up here. Do you think that has a bearing on it, or I guess it depends how the coach looks at it, right? They go, right, okay, we're starting again from the season. It'd be hard to get that into your psyche as a player, though, I think.
I don't think it's binary, Joe, is it? I know Richard's asking a reasonable question. It's both, isn't it? You've got to play into what you've done well, especially if you're Leeds and you've beaten your semi-final opponent twice already. Yeah. Southampton have also beaten West Brom twice already. So you've got to play into that. But of course, it's tournament football now, and it's 180 minutes, maybe another 30. And you've just got to get through that semi-final. Obviously, the final, the one-off game type thing, you can treat that a bit different. But the semi-final that's an entity all of its own, and that has to be played very tactically. I'm sure most of your chat are England fans as well, and we've watched England go to many tournaments, and the things we think that are going to make England do well in the tournaments, not the things that the winners of tournaments actually do.
No, it's funny you say that, because whenever I've spoken to people this week or whenever I discuss it on my channel, I said I'd be more confident if we were playing a one-off game at Wembley than I am over 2 games. across, even one of them being at home. I'd be more confident just playing Norwich at Wembley than actually going away to Carrow Road and then having to return back to Ellen Road needing a result. We've seen how that goes. We remember Derby. We even took a 1-0 lead in that game and still managed to mess it up. So I think, it's a case
I can see why you would say that, Joe.
Yeah. It's
I can see,
it's going to be difficult for sure. It's going to be difficult. We have had a few comments coming. Abdul Al-Fuzan says, "Hello, Joe. Woke up feeling confident and congrats to Ben on promotion. Have a great day, everyone." Thank you very much, Abdullah. Chris Richmond, member for 12 months. Thank you for that. We're gonna boost our ego a little bit here, Ben. So 2 of the best football content commentators on YouTube.
One of them called me handsome, which is giving me a right.
Don't worry, I saved it. I saved it for you. Don't worry.
I'm not sure about the bastard, but I think he means it in a nice way. Yeah.
He does, yeah. My good friend Locks, great to see 2 talented and hardworking content creators. Nice there's plenty, a lot of love. Here's a quick question though before we talk about the 4 teams' chances. Just to let people know what is going to happen. You're the Championship content. You're going to still do that, but just
course,
dip into Ipswich and the Premier League, I assume.
Yeah. So we'll still have the Championship Check-In podcast with Sam. We'll still have Championship watch-alongs. Obviously, we'll throw in a little bit of Ipswich stuff and a little bit of Premier League stuff. Yeah. But no, we've built a great platform and great friends, and that's why it resonated with me so much. You're opening to the show about people talking, and you probably feel quite proud about it yourself as well, because you create an outlet for people to
100%.
talk. Yeah, people think it's stupid, why are you watching that guy watch a football match? Yeah, and then you realise, that guy's caring for his mum and literally can't go out, and that's his social group. Sorry, I'm getting.
No, you're right, mate. You're so right. Yeah. I had a guy message me, the guy who was friends with Hisco, and he'd asked me to mention it, and then, he won't mind me saying, then said, "Look, I watch all the time. I've never comment. I wish I did comment, but you are my commute to and from work. We share similar things. My son also has autism. I feel like I know you." And it's them sort of things that you don't realise that, people can take the piss or whatever. We know how it goes, But actually, it has an impact on people for a positive. Do
you get people telling you about COVID as well? I get people telling me all the time. When I meet people at games and stuff, and they stop me, they don't say now. They say, "Thanks for doing the stuff during COVID." I don't know. Yeah. I was climbing the walls, mate. So anyway, football.
No, I get it. Yeah. Big up to Gilly, who's just ribbing me because yes, I noticed I missed the E off forecast. Okay.
Fair play for not changing it and just rolling.
It is what it is. Gilly and the Hoos or the forecast. Yeah, for the forecast. Sorry, should have said. Right. Let's talk about each individual's chances.
Love it.
Before we do, let's do that, and then I'll get who you think's actually going to win it. Let's start from 6th, Norwich City, mate. How do you think they're going to get on?
Well, I suppose the plus for Norwich is there is no team with a massive trend up, but if there is a team who's trended up and into the playoffs, it is Norwich. Manager-wise, some of the things we talked about, and a lot of this conversation is really interesting between 2 process managers who you'd probably like to have in a 46-game league in Martin and Farker versus 2 maybe more tactically better tournament managers. We'll find out in Corberon and Wagner. And obviously, Wagner completely S-housed the playoffs with Huddersfield, didn't he? 0-0. 1-1 with an own goal, penalties, 0-0.
Didn't score a goal, didn't they?
Didn't score a goal and 2 penalty shootouts. Mate, they got to the Premier League, and it was Huddersfield's a hell of a promotion. So I don't know whether we still have that David Wagner. I know we're talking more detail about Norwich. It does feel like they're a collection of solid players plus Sargent, Stites, Sarah, a few real good players. And the one thing I would say is they will be quite happy for vast swathes of your 180, possibly 230, 210 minutes. Can't add up. It's been a long season, guys. They'll be happy to not have the ball. And we know Leeds have been at their absolute best when you actually come out and they just slice through teams. Norwich are not going to let that, especially after the game at Carrow Road.
Yeah, no, I agree. That does concern me a little bit, and as well historically, I think Norwich. I think it's their. I've done a bit of research before while I was waiting to do this, and it's their third appearance in the second tier playoffs. They lost the maiden one back in 2002. Sorry to have to bring this up, but
don't talk about the next one.
Yeah, okay. They beat a certain team in blue who are now in the Premier League before beating Middlesbrough in the final. And also Wagner, like you mentioned, he has history in doing it as well for Huddersfield. How do you think, just to flip it, how do you think Farke will fare? Because he's won promotion from this league twice, but never throughout the playoffs. So do you think... Because it's a totally, like you mentioned, it's just, not to use lottery, but it's just two tactical games, isn't it? Let's see if we can get through with a point. I just don't know if Farke's got that, if that makes sense.
We're going to find out, aren't we? We're going to find out. And I know where you're going with it. And it's like Farke's driven to the Premiership in a Mercedes, and you have to go through the swamp when you go through the playoffs. And he's got to go through the swamp and be happy to get his feet wet and a little bit grubby. Don't get me wrong, given the choice, everyone would like to win the title like Farke did twice with Norwich, but we don't know, Joe, do we? We don't. He might absolutely nail it. And Leeds fans will all remember what did seem like a massive one-off game at Elland Road, possibly January, February 2019, where Leeds it's 3-1 to Norwich, and Norwich turned up and played that one very tactically, and it's a brilliant performance. So he's got it in him for the one-off game. And look at your performances against Leicester this season as well, especially the one at King Power, where you played that like a cup game and won 1-0.
It's a good point, actually, because I was watching Chris Reeve on Connor's One Leeds channel earlier on, and he said what he will say for Farke, against the lesser teams, okay, he might have dropped the ball, but when it was must-win games, big games against the top teams in the division, he always seemed to win out. And you mentioned our game there, and even this season, we beat you twice, we beat Leicester twice. You know, the only team that we haven't beaten is Southampton, of course, and we'll get onto them in a second. But it's quite interesting you mentioned like tactical managers, because Russell Martin did something on the game that we played him in the final game that no one expected him to do, you know, changed up his system and they end up winning the game. So that's a good point you make. But for me, the most tactical of them all that's left, and the one that I least wanted to play actually of our two legs, was Carlos Corberan's West Brom. If anyone can do, put together a game plan over 120 minutes of football, or 210, whatever it was. My maths aren't great either. It's it's Carlos. It is really Carlos. And I look at their team as well, Ben, and think, okay, they don't have any superstars, although I really like is it Mickey Johnston, the one on the loan. They are just full of championship experience. Like even at the back, Bartley, Kipri, Jed Wallace, all these players are just, for me, championship top end players. I don't think many of them will make that step up. Some have tried and come back down, you know what I mean? So I do worry about West Brom, if I'm honest. Yeah,
they're grisly, aren't they? And physically big, powerful team. I was at both legs of Huddersfield Luton semi, and Corberan, he just shut it down. And it was one of those games where I live quite close to Luton, so I watched them pretty closely, and I just felt for the Luton fans. It's one of those games where you come away and you're like, what happened? We didn't get close. I didn't feel like we did a lot wrong, but they just shut it down. And were it not for some iffy VAR stuff, not to bring it up in the final against Forest, you could have had Corberan. That would have been incredible, because he would have gone from 20th the previous season to third, and then promotion. But yeah, he's a clever manager, and really understands the value of a clean sheet and B, a set play and tournament football. Remember when Greece won the Euros? All they did was get clean sheets and score set plays.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And do you think as well? I think Yeah, I wonder if I just wonder what the other fans were. I know Chris Reeves said on Connor's show that the only team he didn't want was Leeds. So I guess we've all got these feelings, because I'd have looked at us and thought, well, we can have a shot at them. Carlos Corbrand's
Leeds got 90 points.
Nobody
wants
fair.
Leeds.
Yeah, fair.
90.
Leeds fans
9-0.
don't think that, though. I know.
No, but get out of the damn bubble. 90. Yeah? Nobody wants to play you, mate.
Yeah, I love that. See, can you hear that, Leeds fans in the chat? Listen to him. The one that I do worry, and Southampton. Southampton, for me, when I look at their squad, Kyle Walker-Peters, Bednarak, Howard Bellis, Smallbone, Flynn Downs, Armstrong up top, Shea Adams, they do really, really worry me. And I think if they get to the final, to be honest, they're my favourites. They are my favourites. I think Southampton will do it, Ben, if I'm honest. I just don't see how we do it. But what do you make to Russell Martin, Southampton, and their chances?
It's another one with Farke, isn't it? And at least we got some evidence with Farke of he can win a promotion automatically. We don't know whether Russ Martin can finish the season. He's got a brilliant squad. I always maintain Leicester had the most squad depth. I thought Leeds had the best 11. I know you'll laugh at me considering how the goals have dropped off, but in terms of options around the front end of the pitch, and Southampton equal, not quite as good a depth as Leicester, but certainly a really, really damn good squad for this level. But do you know what? And I'll be really honest. When you said to me, "Oh, Russ Martin did something to try and change it up or whatever in the last game," the first thing I thought was, I will be really pleased with himself about that. Won't he?
Tell me about it.
Do you know what I mean? That can't be the case, that the manager's trying to be so clever. Yeah. Win the game. Do you know what I mean? Win the game. And what we did see, not to bring it back to Ipswich, Southampton should have beaten Ipswich at Portman Road. And what Kieran McKenna did was just made it chaotic. And when it got away from structure and process and textbook and whatever you've rehearsed, you couldn't cope. Red card, bang, bang, lost 3-2. So, Leeds at Wembley, you never know. But at the moment, well, you answer me this. Would you rather have Southampton's attacking players on form at the moment or Leeds attacking players?
I would have Southampton.
They're in form, aren't they?
Yeah. Like Leeds United, just to talk on Leeds now. I mean, I don't know what's. I wish I could put my finger in it, or finger on it, not in it. But I don't know what's happened. Like since the international break, we've just fallen off a cliff, and I think a lot of it I put down to Ben is mentality, and that's what worries me about the playoffs too, because I look at Leicester. We all had fall-offs, as you rightly mentioned, but Leicester City had a lot of experience. Jamie Vardy, international, not just one appearance like Pat. He went to tournaments. You've got Harry Winks. As much as I don't rate him, he went to a Champions League final. Let's not forget
caps,
yeah, exactly, yeah, fair. And Didi, Vestergaard, Woutfest, they've got experience throughout. Then I look at your situation, and I said this for a number of weeks. Ipswich have been here and done it. They did it basically almost a carbon copy last season. When you look at the League One, you had Sheff Wednesday, yourselves, and Plymouth on 90+ points. So they'd had that experience. Leeds don't have that. And when I look at their lack of experience, I think our most experienced player probably is Ethan Ampadu. We forget the guy's only still 24. You know what I mean? He's still relatively young. The most experience we have is not available or on the bench and deemed not good enough to play in Liam Cooper, Stuart Dallas, etc. So that's what I think as cost Leeds United in this running. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, the interesting thing is, as you were saying that, I was thinking, but Farke, they all came out of nowhere at Norwich, but Norwich is not Leeds, and there's a different pressure. Leeds in the second tier, everyone wants to beat you. It's the biggest attendance. A lot of I know you got Sunderland in there as well, but or the sort of biggest atmosphere a lot of the away players are playing in. It's a little bit different. It was very surprising to hear Farke referenced Sam Morsey,
Yeah, and Luongo, didn't he? He said them both.
32-year-old journeyman midfielder. But sometimes managers are not talking to us fans; they're actually talking to their ownerships, aren't they?
Yeah.
Indirectly, but yeah, I think you can make that point. And what was it, Joe? Was it 14 wins in 15?
Yeah, before that. Yeah.
And it's difficult when a run like that, because history says you're not going to do that for 19 wins out of 20, else you are Reading in 2006 or what have you. So yeah, it was just an impossibly high standard, wasn't it? But I do take your point about the age and experience.
Yeah, I think as well the Welsh game, like that March international break needs to go. I know it was a competitive one for the Welsh lads, but the fact that they went to extra time and then Dan James missed the penalty that cost Wales, and you had.
But Joe, wouldn't the fact that Kiefer Moore and Wes Burns played and Nathan Broadhead were involved in that debunk that point?
That's a great point. Fair play. No, that's a great point. Fair play. There you go. That has just debunked it. So there you go. So, right, mate, let's talk about, I want your prediction on how Southampton-West Brom is going to go over the two legs and which team makes it to the final.
Mate, I'm struggling with that one. What's your take first?
I just think Southampton will get it over the line. I do, like I say, had we have played West Brom, the mad thing is I'd go, we lose. I don't know, I just think the quality that Southampton have, especially with Armstrong scoring as many goals. I looked at their midfield and we were overrun. I really enjoyed watching Flynn Downs. I just think they'll have enough. And having watched West Brom, I think it was against Leicester City, gave them a good game, but they couldn't finish the dinner. They literally couldn't finish the dinner that day. They played Leicester City. I think Grady Garner. So many
amazing,
chances.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
It was mad. Like I say, Mickey Johnston can provide a moment. I think sometimes maybe he can overplay it a little bit, but as a player to watch, I really enjoyed watching him this season. But I just think that their quality will tell. The finishing of Armstrong. I think that Stuart Armstrong's a massive miss. I don't know what the situation is there. And a Southampton fan mentioned Flynn Downs in the chat saying if Flynn Downs plays, we'll go. So I didn't know there was a debate over him, to be honest. I don't know if you know anything on Flynn Downs, but
I think the point he's probably making about Downs is that they're way better with him in the team than they are without him. I think they rested him for a couple of games. Yeah, I think that's what we're. Yeah. There you go. So the problem I've got, Joe, is I know what to expect from West Brom. I don't know what Southampton will turn up. Because you could foresee Southampton playing really beautifully and just sweeping West Brom away. They've got better players, and if the system clicks. But then, as you've pointed out, do I trust Corberon more than Martin? Probably. Could Martin fall over himself trying to be too damn clever and outthinking, Carlos Corberon? Yeah, I could. So I did actually back Southampton to win the first leg. That's as far as I'm prepared to go. I went a tight 0-1 there. But would I be surprised if we're watching this, Joe, and Southampton completely crap the bed and it's too emotional and Corberon does a number and it's 2-0 after 14 minutes and panic stations? I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to get from Southampton.
Yeah, I would enjoy it because, like you say, Russell Martin. And there might be a little bit of needle because was it this game where Russell Martin went bitching to the referee when Corberan touched the ball when it was on? Was it this game, I think, when Corberan touched the ball when it was on the pitch? Do you remember? And he got sent to the stands? Yeah, and that, because I remember watching it going, oh, look at Russell Martin, you little grass. But yeah, he's a Lampard type character to me, Ben, if I'm honest. So I'm not overly keen. But there, okay. So there's the stat there. Look, 30% win rate without Flynn Downs, 69% win rate with him. Well, he's got to play him then, and he Staines. And as I say, he looked much better against us with him in the side.
Is he not missing 1% there, Joe? Speaking of bad maths.
Yes, there is a missing 1%. Maybe that 1%'s draw.
Oh, okay.
Oh God, yeah. Let's talk about Leeds. I think I caught your shot earlier actually, where you went for a draw at Carrow Road, 1 apiece, I think. But over the two games, how do you see it going? And I will because that's just in my memory, I did see there has been no draw in any of Wagner's 5 managerial head-to-heads against Leeds United. So there hasn't been a draw yet for Wagner, just to stick that out there. I'm not saying change, because that has no bearing on it. But
we did talk about all those draws in his previous playoff campaign, though,
true,
didn't we, in tournament
yeah.
football? So I went for a 1-1. The question I'd like to raise with you, Joe, or rather a thought of mine, I don't think if it's level, that suits Norwich at all, going to Elland Road. In my brain, unless Norwich are going to do a masterclass over the 2 legs and it's 0-0 right up to the 80th minute at Elland Road and then they score. And you're like, oh, okay, well played. They've done you there. I think Leeds become hot favourites if it's level
really?
at half. I don't know. How do you feel about
that? I'm not too sure. I worry about Elland Road and the pressure that comes at Elland Road, especially on an evening. It sounds mad and
mate, I was at the Derby game, so I know exactly. I saw it from my own eyes. Yeah,
the nervousness that gets built, and the fact it's an evening game as well. I almost wish they were flipped. It's under the lights, Elland Road. It's 1-1. Leeds need a win, and I just gone like, nah, this is going only one way. I'm not confident. Like, I'm really not confident. And like any football fan, on the morning of Sunday, the 12th, I will be bouncing, and I will be like, yes, we can do this. But look, we have to beat them. We've beaten them twice this season. We've finished third, as you rightly said, with 90 points. Quality of players. Okay, they have a few individuals, but we have quality all over the pitch. And provided we don't throw it in, i.e., a terrible keeper error, which we've seen of late, just seems to have hologram hands at the minute, or just giving away silly free kicks.
It's so disrespectful.
I know. I'm sorry. I do love Mez, but it's really been frustrating.
It's not you standing up for him, isn't it?
Exactly. This is the thing. I've gone the other way. I've gone rogue. I'm just frustrated with the level of saves or shots that have gone in. It's not been great. But you are right. I do normally have his back. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna look. Leeds. We've got to progress, Ben. Right? We've got to. We should do. We will do, won't we? Please tell me.
I mean, you should do, shouldn't you? But it's in tournament football. Does the better team or the better funded team or the team that scored more points over 46 win? They don't always win, do they? And the problem you get with Leeds is, could I see them playing beautifully and winning 3-0 at Carrow Road, all done, jobs are good? And yeah, great attacker players. Somerville could do it by himself, couldn't he?
Yeah.
Could I see Leeds complete carnage and being 2-0 down after 7 minutes? That's the sort of thing that Twitter would lap up, wouldn't it? And it'd be, Leeds are doing it again.
Leeds are falling. Everyone would be back out singing the song. I hate that song, Ben. I hate that song.
I don't particularly even like the Joy Division song, let alone the football song. So, I would. Do you think I've gone for 1-1? I think Norwich might take the lead and you equalise, and then everybody says, okay, we're done here today. One-off game, Elland Road. Would you be happy going in level at half-time?
Yeah, I just don't want to lose. Just don't lose.
Yeah. You don't want to be chasing, do you?
Yeah, don't lose. Because like you've mentioned there, Wagner historically with his Huddersfield team, knows how to set them up to get a result. And I
don't want to be mean, Joe, but fortunately Derby County did prove in 2019 that it is possible to lose the first leg and still win the tie. That was the first time it had ever happened, hadn't it?
Yes. Thank you for reminding me, mate.
But it could work in your favour this time.
100%, maybe so. If you were to pick overall, mate, now, where would your money go if you were a betting man? Of course,
it's hard not to imagine. The simplistic, the world pointing in the right direction is Leeds and Southampton in the final. They've just been so much better than West Brom and Norwich over the course of a 46-game season. Tells us that they're better teams, but it's tournament foot. It's so interesting the fact that the two managers of those clubs are the way they are, and the two managers for us neutrals, it's really perfectly set up. You wouldn't want it the other way around, because if you had, the kind of bastardery we're expecting from Corberon and Wagner with Leeds and Southampton, you'd be certain they'd get to the final. But would you be surprised if it was Leeds Saints at Wembley? It'd be a great final, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'd be worried. I don't know. This is what I mean. 1 minute I say West Brom, 1 minute I say so. But yeah, it'd be good. I guess it would be a great spectacle. Leeds versus Southampton in the final. It'd be huge.
Really good football match as well. I know that's not the point, but
no, it would be. And can we book the trend, having lost to them twice quite comfortably on both occasions, to then go and beat them at Wembley? I hope so. I hope so, but we'll see.
And again, it will sound like I'm cozying up, so let me pose it as a question. Can you not? Are those two games not outliers? One of them's in September, isn't it? Which is a long time ago.
Yeah.
What would the score have been if Leeds had played Southampton in February? I'm sure Leeds would have won, wouldn't they? And the end of the season game was just weird, wasn't it? It's round 46 and weird stuff happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, you could reasonably argue that you can put those to one side. Although I do agree with the people in the chat saying, the form is not good, and you can't ignore that, and you can't conveniently ignore tripping up in the running. But as you've pointed out, Joe, everybody tripped up in the running.
Exactly. This is a thing.
Except the bottom 7.
yeah, exactly. Did you see the final day? I think the bottom 9 teams won all like 1-0.
7 out of the bottom
that was
8.
it.
It's only Huddersfield. Yeah.
Of course, the one team that Leeds United needed something to do. Do you know what I mean? Standard, but listen.
They were rubbish.
Yeah, bad.
I was so nervous.
That Brighton Reiner, though, he's gone full in on Warnock and everybody, hasn't he? I don't think he'll be there. Has he gone yet? I assume he'd have walked straight after. Is he still there?
It looks like he's... I think he's in, like you say, I don't care mode,
Yes.
So what, sack me type thing, which
of course.
Might be a good thing.
Yeah, I think so. Great stuff. Let's just finish up. We got Matty Foster, the lad who reached out to me. Big up to you, Matty. Thank you for commenting, mate. Brett says, Ben, if we don't go up, is there any Leeds player you'd like Ipswich to sign? Because I was actually saying, Ben, on my team of the season.
I have a list.
I actually said on my team of the season, I had Amari Hutchinson at right mid. I put him in my team of the season. And I didn't realise he was on loan from Chelsea, because I said, if we get promoted...
It's way too good for us.
Yeah, I said, if we get promoted, gazump Ipswich. Get them from Ipswich if we're going to let Nonto go. But who would you take from Leeds?
Oh, Archie Gray for $500,000. That'd work, wouldn't it? Somerville, obviously. Nonto, obviously. Is this Piru's stock's kind of dropped a bit this season, hasn't it?
It's not been great at all.
No. If Archie Gray wasn't worth 50 million, then you'd obviously take him for the resale. But and either of those wingers, brilliant players.
Yeah. And just finally here, James says, I thought I had been pronouncing it right. Chladaki.
Chladki.
Chladki.
You're putting an extra A in it, Joe. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Do that again for me.
Chladki.
Chladki. And I was calling him Chladaki.
I get very annoyed about this, Joe, because you and I'm going to defend your honour here, are English-speaking people speaking to and I can see the demographics, by the way, on the back end on YouTube, so can you. Speaking to a 99% English audience. I cannot speak any other language, and the job we do entails players from about 97 different countries. You cannot expect, because it's not only saying the letters in that, they expect us to say it in the accent of the country where the guy is from. It's like, I'm not saying Cifuentes, like, shove off. You know who I mean. Grow up. No, I'm not saying that about James, because you actually had in
the thing is, though, I was thinking about, I did say Cifuentes. I did do this.
I just think people need to be very empathetic and open. I mean, look, when you have Scottish players, and Leeds have had some great Scottish players.
Yes.
Are you supposed to put a Scottish accent on when you say say their names? I'm not asking you to try now, but do you know what I mean?
I get it. I do. That's brilliant, Ben. Yeah. So cut us some slack. It is now Hladky. I got it.
Perfect,
there you go.
yeah.
There you go. Although I don't need to say his name anymore because he's not in the division we're in anymore. So yeah.
Well,
Although I was surprised, Ben, because I put him in my team of the season, because of his wonder saves that I've seen, like the Middlesbrough ones and stuff. But I didn't realise he was second choice to the keeper from Brighton before the season started.
Oh, he wasn't meant to save a single ball this season. We got him to Salford, never got in the team, and then they signed Christian Walton on what the Def Info tells us is a rather large wage. And Walton got injured at the start of the season. Everyone thought, oh God. And then Kladky played all 46 games, I think.
Yeah,
but
he was great.
There you go. Lucky old Ipswich, eh?
Yeah.
Without their first choice goalkeeper all season.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they kept saying, mate. That's what they kept saying.
Michael's saying, wait till you hear Joe's Dutch accent.
This is my Somerville.
Steve McLaren, yeah?
No, it's just, well, I guess. So Somerville, every time we would win, they would put him on thing and he would go, back to winning ways.
Amazing.
That's my Somerville. There you go. Ben, tell people about your channel. What's on there available for them now? Have you done your team of the season? Yeah, I assume you will have.
No, I haven't. I didn't, because they do it really early, don't they? And,
yeah.
In seasons gone by, I've done it. It's so difficult to do, Joe, because if you really truthfully did it, you'd only have players from Leeds, Leicester, and Southampton. If you really picked out the 11 highest value, quote, best players in the league, and then I always go the other way and say only one per club, and then
Nice.
People get really, they start crying about the fact that, you know, it's only one per club. So I find it quite tricky to do it, given you know how much better often, you know, you mentioned Kyle Walker-Peters, Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, and you know Somerville, the likes of those guys. You could quite easily just pick from those three teams, couldn't you? But sorry, I digress. I'm good at that. No, there's plenty of stuff on the channel. We spoke to Sam Parkin yesterday, latest Championship check-in podcast. What have we got over the weekend? Here's a plug for you. Guess where I'll be on Sunday, Joe?
Carrow Road, I assume.
I will be at Carrow Road in person watching your boys. So I'm very excited. I expect it to be cagey, and I would expect to be coming out level, as I've said, and us to move on to Ellen Road where it will be, you know, properly decided. But yeah, there's the plug for you. Check out Sunday at some point. We'll have a vlog from Carrow Road, but I realise if Norwich have won, none of you are going to watch it.
Yeah,
right?
Probably not. Probably not. I can't lie. Yeah.
Unfollow, unsubscribe.
Ben's channel is in the title as well, folks, so you don't even need to go to the description. Just click the name in the title and it'll take you straight through. Richard Padgett says, you two proper dudes. Great. I do love and enjoy speaking to Ben. It's always
when you can get a word in.
Yeah, that's why I like it, mate. So I can just sit back. I normally have to do the talking, you see, so I'm like that.
Very good you are at it too.
Thank you very much, mate. Thanks everyone for watching. Go subscribe to Ben. Subscribe to me if you haven't already. Like the video. I've already pre-recorded one for tomorrow that's coming out in the morning, so you'll have some morning viewing, and then we'll have Darren Farker's press conference reaction around about lunchtime. I'm here in Bamford, good to go. James close. So, yeah, that's what I've been told. I don't know. Well, I'm not ITK or anything, but I think Bamford's good to go, which is huge, because if Bamford doesn't play, we don't get through the playoffs, as much as that'll pain Leeds United fans to hear me say that, because they all think he's washed. But he is key to what we do and how we play. But I'll stop rambling now. That's for another vid, and we'll see you in a bit. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.